Anyway, Edi Mesira Karti. So here we have that. That's Rabbi Eliezer's. So Rabbi Eliezer holds Edi Mesira Karti, and Rabbi Meir holds it Edi Chatima Karsi. So here's the riff. This is the back, the Dafei Harif. There Mamzan Manav Halacha ka Rabbi Eliezer Gittin. So that just means because we have other shtaros, get, as you saw in the first daf, could mean other shtaros as well. So as stars go, you need Edi Chatima. But for Gittin, only Edi Chasima is the Iker. Says the Rif, Umahai Nami. So again, this is also again a strange lashon of the Rif because this is like his own lashon here. We sheminin delobein in Edi Mesira. We don't need Edi Mesira. Heicha deike Edi Chatima. Now this seems to be a bit of a strange idea. I mean, the way I would understand, if halach is like Rabbi Eliezer, so therefore we don't need Edi Chatima. And we for sure need Edi Chasima, so Mesira. So we need, when you hand over the get, you need two people there looking at it. But says the Rif, I don't need Edi Mesira where there are Edi Chatima. So he brings a Ráya here. It's really a Gemara that you basically when it says Eid Echad, is Eid Echad. What does Eid Echad mean? You have the Kesav Sofer. So the Kesav Sofer, we're going to need these terms again anyway, but basically the idea is that what is a signature? A signature doesn't have to be your actual name. Your signature can be anything. The famous case is Rav would sign a fish. So once you have something that's recognizable to being like your mark, so then that's a signature. So Kesav Sofer is that the Sofer writes a shtar in a specific way, and anyone who sees the Kesav of this Sofer knows that that's his Sofer. That this you can track this Sofer back to this handwriting back to this Sofer. So just like you can track a signature of a aid back to an aid, so too you have the Kesav Sofer. You can track back to him, and he was Mistama. Told to write this get lishma, so therefore the Kesav Sofer is like an aid, and then you have an aid echod. So aid echod, when it says aid echod, it means the Kesav Sofer and an aid echod. So you really have two aidim on it, and then it's a Vlad Mamzer, so it's possible legamri. And Rav also holds a halacha Rabbi Eliezer Gittin. So how could it be? So we go back to the idea. How could it be that you have aid echod? And then you have someone else on top, but the Kesav, so here Rav's holding that Kesav Sofer is not good enough. So basically the cheshbon's like this: if you hold that halachic Rabbi Eliezer that Mesira is good enough, so then if you don't have any signatures on the get and it's kosher, so then for sure, if you have one signature on the get, it's kosher. So how can he posel it? Because there are no Edi Mesira, because you're using these Edi Chasima for Edi Mesira. Beside, Atu Eid Echad is worse, where there isn't any Eid Echad. Eid Vadai, he posels Rav, and an Eid Echad, Umakshir, Heicha Deika Eid Mesira, Afilu Leka Eid Echad. Shemin and Dahai posel Eid Echad, Heicha Deleka Eid Mesira. So, we have the case of the Kesav Sofer. So Shmuel is saying the Kesav Sofer is good, and Rav saying it's no good. So basically, Rav is saying that Eid Echad is no good. You need to have two Eidim on the get. We're actually going to get into this Eidei. We're probably going to do Eidei Kiyum next time. Is the idea of Eidei Kiyum, where you need two Eidim and there's only an Eid Echad. So we ask the question: if Edi Mesira is good enough because he holds by Rabbi Eliezer, so therefore no Eidim, the Vlad's not a mamzer. If you have an Eid Echad, how could it be worse? So therefore, when he says Eid Echad, it must be there's no Edi Mesira, and a proper second Eid would be a good would be a good get, even though there's no Edi Mesira. So therefore, here to hide a posel Eid Echad, why is he posting Eid Echad? Because there's no Edi Mesira. Because if it was Edi Mesira, since it goes by Rabbi Eliezer, it would be good. So therefore, where you have Edi Mesira, where you have Eidei Chatima, you do not need Eidei Mesira. So that's Shitas Arif. We're going to get into a bit more and just explain a bit more, but that's basically the idea. Now, the simple way to understand what the Rif is saying is af ede Mesira karti. Like as in also ede Mesira karti. So everyone holds the ede Chatima karti, also ede Mechira, also ede Mesira karti. That's a simple way to understand it. That we're going to reject, but that's just a simple way to understand the Rif at this stage. So finishing off the idea here, and if there was a Chatima of two Eidim, they'd be Makshir, because even without the Eid, Afakav, the Leka Eidim Mesira. So it's only Eid Echod that Rav is apostle. But where there's two Eidim, he will be Makshir even without the Eidim Mesira. And we say that there's only Chatimas on the get because of Tikkun Olam. That if there was not a get of Eid Chatima, which you give a Eid Mesira Bovad, sometimes the Eid Mesira will die, and then you won't be able to makam the shtar. V'isal kadaicha, it's not enough. Eid Chatima, ela Eid ad deika Eid Mesira, and if that's what you need, my Tikkun Olam ikim, how's there a Tikkun Olam at all? So when we say we're going to have a Tikkun Olam with the Eidi Chatima, how does it help? If you don't, if the Eidi Chatima don't, they're not makshering the get, so then the Eidi Mesira die, and then you makayim the get with the Eidi Chatima, and maybe they were never Eidi Mesira. So if I need Eidi Mesira L'chud, that's the only thing that makshers once we have Rabbi Eliezer, halaks like Rabbi Eliezer. So only Eidi Mesira help. So therefore, how does signing the get help? Because even if you can makayim the get with the Eidi that's signed, maybe they were never Eidi that saw it being handed over. And therefore, maybe she was never divorced, and therefore, how can the Eidi Chatima help at all? Maybe he never gave it with Eidi Mesira. Everywhere there's Eidi Chatima, we don't need Eidi Mesira. So continues the Rif. Where there is Eidi Mesira, we don't need Eidi Chatima, because one of them is enough, right? And again, that's noita to whichever one you want. Mihu honimil b'di'eved, right? So it's on b'di'eved. So l'chatchila, you should have it like Rabbi Eliezer. So val l'chatchila. Aval lechatchila binyan Eidi Mesira v'heina ikar. So the chuntim alaget eruv b'pnei Tikkun Olam. Now the Talmud of the Rif was one of them was Rabbi Divrei Eliezer. The Ephraim. Here, Ephraim Talmido. Have a Yadua, Shu Rabbeinu Ephraim Talmido. So Rabbeinu Ephraim is a Talmud of the Rif. Chaylek alav. So Rabbeinu Ephraim is chaylek on the Rif. V'oimer ademrinen b'chol dochta. The Rebbe Eliezer Sover Edim Zirakarti. V'lo amrinen b'shum dochta. We don't see anywhere in the Gemara. Look everywhere in the Gemara. We never say af Edim Zirakarti. So this lashon here af Eidi Mesira. So this is kind of coming from this is how the Ephraim learned his Rebbe the Rif, that the Rif is saying af Eidi Mesira karti. That's what Rebbe Eliezer means, af Eidi Mesira karti. Mashma davka Eidi Mesira ka'amar. That since it doesn't say af Eidi Mesira, therefore Rabbeinu Ephraim is saying davka Eidi Mesira ka'amar. So the machlok is here between the Rif and his Talmud Ephraim as to whether it's af Eidi Mesira karti or Eidi Mesira karti. And since we don't see anywhere in Gemara saying af Eidi Mesira karti, this word af is not in the Gemara, so therefore we see Rabbi Eliezer holds Eidi Mesira karti v'zeo. So therefore it's only Eidi Mesira. So it's davka Eidi Mesira, and that's the shittas of Ephraim, his Talmud. Now the Ran doesn't like. This is the Ran. The Ran brings Ephraim to the Talmud of the Rif. Now the Ran doesn't like this idea of where it's davka Eidi Mesira kamar. He doesn't like that, and he goes against it. And one of the reasons why he doesn't like this is that there are so many cases and mishnayos and Gittin talking about how the Eidim work, and if the Eidim have to go in a certain way when you're writing the get, and you have what is it in Bava Basra, they have what get poshut, and they have where you have a get for a kohen, you have to fold it and sign it and all this type of stuff, and it's like, oh well, none of those missions are according to halacha. So the Ran doesn't like that, and he defends the Rif, and now we get the shitas of the now brought down in all the achronim. You'll have the shita of the Ran in the Rif. So again, I would understand Pasha Peshat reading the Rif is that it's like Ephraim understands it af Edi Mesira Karti. The Ephraim disagrees and says Davka Edi Mesira Karti. That's how I would understand the Rif. Comes the Ran and gives a whole different explanation, not af Edi Mesira Karti. Aval ma shenira li bezeh. So this is the Peshat of the Ran, of the how the Ran is going to understand the Rif. Rabbi Eliezer Svarale, the Edi Mesira b'lechud Karti. So he holds that it's only Edi Mesira, again it's in the Rif, it's only Edi Mesira that are Karti. The Eid Chatima do not Karti. The Eid Chatima do not Karti. It is clear, yeah, the Mesira yes, Chatima no. And that's what we say in every place. Rabbi Eliezer Svarale, the Edi Mesira Karti. But lo Amrin Anaf. Edi Mesira. Right, so that's all good so far. However, what the hell is the Rif talking about then? Umihu, what the Moide Rabbi Eliezer the Edi Chatima Mahani? Because we had this whole question that Rabbi Eliezer says, Tikkun Olam, you do sign on the get. So he's Moidus, and so how are these Edim doing anything? Hani Mishum de Svarale, She HaMesira Koreses Kol Shi Eis B'Shaita Edim. So the Mesira helps as long as there are Edim, whether the Me'edim al Mesira Atzmo or al Gufa Dover. So that the Mesira are Karti, whether they are actually on the Mesira itself, which are the normal Edim Mesira, or al Gufa Dover, or on the Gufa Dover. Let's really see what he's talking about. The Gufa Dover will be the get, will be the Guf of the get itself. Now, what's Rabbi Eliezer's Moida beget? That's written in Edim, the courses. So how's he Moida that Afal Pi Shalom Natan Be'edim Mesira? How can you have the Chatima is Karti, that with the Tikkun Olam, even though there's no Edim Mesira? Like we prove all those rayas that I wrote above. So he gives all those Gemaras of where the Edim have to sign the get or whatever, and they said that all these Gemaras that are talking about this is Alpi Halacha. It's not because he holds Edi Chatima Karti. All these signatures on the get are not because Edi Chatima Karti. Eile Sheha Mesira Koreses. So these guys are signing, and it's the Mesira that's Karti. Mekevin Sheyesh Edim al Ikar Dover. And since there are Edim on the get itself that he's writing, says that hooray yes. You're free to marry whoever you want. Dehavi lehu edi chatima ka edi mesira. Right, so the edi chatima are like edi mesira. Sheharei heget yoytze mitachas yada be'edim halalu. So she has the get. So you've got two people with the Baal, and they sign the get. That the Baal wrote lishma, and they sign the get. Then tomorrow she has the get. How does she have the get? Must be he gave it to her. So since the get is yotzes mitachas yada, those edim know that the Baal gave it to her. Yeah, ubiyadua, it's known that the Baal gave it to her. V'nimsa ki'ilu hem atzam edim ala mesira. And there, so it's like they themselves were giving edas on the mesira. So, in short, what the Ran is saying that the Eidei Chatima are the Eidei Mesira. And how are they the Eidei Mesira? Because when they sign the get, the Baal has the get, and then they're signing the Gufa Dover, they're signing the get itself, that she is divorced. And obviously, she hasn't actually divorced until she gets it, but since the fact tomorrow she has the get, it's they know that she got the get. Biyadua is an important word, biyadua. They know that the Baal gave it to her. That is enough for them to be the Eidei Mesira. Now the problem goes like this. That in order to basically we need 8 kiyum. And again, we said a couple of times, again, we are going to go into this next time probably, but anyway, 8 kiyum. Where are our 8 kiyum? We need 2 people. Again, if you give, for Gittin and Kedushin, where you need 8 kiyum, if there are no Edim, it never happened. So, seemingly here, you don't have the 8 kiyum. How are you getting the 8 kiyum out of this? Where are the 8 kiyum? The 8 chatima didn't see it. So where are the 8 kiyum? Because according to Rebbe Meir, you have the 8 kiyum on the chatima. When you sign the star, you have the 8 kiyum. They are the 8 kiyum of the get and of the gerushin. According to Rebbe Eliezer, you need the 8 kiyum that's on the Mesira. There are no 8 kiyum on the Mesira. So where are the 8 kiyum? So Beit Shmuel has a question in Kedushin. It says, Ach Yiru Hanatzina Mamish. Right? So the Shulchan Aruch says that the Eidim have to see the giving Mamish. Yeah, when you give the ring under the chuppah, your 8-day Kedushin need to see the Nesina Mamish. Okay, so these are important things to understand before you make people your Eidim, that you've got to make sure they're Talmid Chachamim so they know what the hell they're looking at. So he has a question here. If they didn't see the Nesina, it's okay. Don't mevatel the Kedushin. If they saw davar hamochiach, if there's something that is like clear what's happening, so that you're able to give edus that as if you saw the gufa maisa. Even though they didn't see the bia, if they saw the yichud, that's like they saw the bia. So the Rashba then argues on this point, on that that hein hein edi bia, hein hein edi yichud is a specific is specific for the case of bia, because you can actually see the like the pencil in the pencil case. So yeah, that the fire is burning, and the fire is like is flamed on what it didn't burn. But Kedusha, you need to see the Maisa Mamish, right? That's what the Rashba says. Now the Ktzot brings this base Shmuel. So here the Ein Beit Shmuel Shkasav. If the ring is in his hand, and he says Horeas Mikudeshesli Betabazeh, and the Edom didn't see the Edom giving it. Rak Kamaat Rega. Now the ring is in her hand. So the Eidim under the chuppah, the Eidei Kedushin, are staring at the guy giving the ring to the woman. And just as he's about to give it to her, like the photographer jumps in, cha-ching, he wants to take a picture, and completely blocks the Eidim as they're looking at it. And then, as the guy goes away, like a second later, now she has the ring. Is that called Kedushin or not? Do we have Eidei Kiyum on this? So what's the line? The line would be what is a thing called a Raia or Yedi'a. Do we need to have a Raia or do we need to have a Yedi'a? So do we need to see the ring being passed over? Do we need to have the Eidei Kiyum see him give her the ring, or do they need to know that they give her a ring? So Re'iyah is you actually saw it, and Yedi'a is So most people will have a Yedi'a, but that's different to a Re'iyah. And we also see it by Cholav Yisrael. In Cholav Yisrael, there's a maklokas if the Gemara says that you need to have a Re'iyah of the milk or you need to have a Yedi'a of the milk. So for example, if you're in a farm and all they have are, there's a barn, and in the barn there's like 3 cows and nothing else. And this non-Jewish farmer goes in with an empty bucket and comes out 5 minutes later with a full bucket of milk. And you hear him moo a few times. And the only things that were in there were 3 cows. So you have a yediah that this milk is from a cow, but you didn't see the milk come from a cow. So there's a maklokas in to have it cholav Yisrael. If it's re'iyah, do you need to see it, or do you need a yediah? Now Moshe Feinstein holds that you need a re'iyah. It's a maklokas poiskim, it's whether it's a re'iyah or yediah. So Moshe Feinstein is machmir. So in his chumrah, he found a kula as to what's called re'iyah. And like he's basically saying that like this level of yediah is called a re'iyah. Beitaka holds that you need a re'iyah. So, so the Pri Megadim, he was, I think, a Rav in Amsterdam. And he says that there's no non-kosher animals in the whole country. So I don't know if Holland has camels or pigs yet. But apparently in the time of the Pri Megadim there was none. And he says that there's no treif animals, therefore all the milk is fine. And that would be yediah, because if you need re'iyah, it doesn't help knowing that. You actually have to see it. You actually have to see it happen. So they have this Dutch hechsher. It's like a square hechsher, and they have those cookies or whatever. And they don't say on the milky stuff it's just chalavi. They'll never say if it's cholav Yisrael or not, because there's no concept of non-cholav Yisrael in Holland, because all milk is whatever. It's either all chalav or all cholav Yisrael, whatever way you want to call it, because they're holding by yediah. But Moshe finds his machmir, and in the chumrah he found a kula. So by kedushin, by the Ed Kiyum, do you need a yediah or do you need a re'iyah? So we have the pshat now in the Ran, the way he's explaining the Rif, that if you hold that the Ed re'iyah, the Ed yediah, hen Ed riyah, so then we have that the Edim who are the Ed chasima become the Ed Mesira through their yediah, and they are the Ed Kiyum. So if you hold that the yediah is the re'iyah, so then that's enough of a that's enough in order to have the Ed Kiyum. He says it here, the Shor Yosher, right? The Habei Shmuel Sovar, the yediah below re'iyah mahani, so that you don't need the re'iyah and the yediah is enough. So if you hold that the yediah without the re'iyah is enough, therefore we can apply it into the Ran, then we have our Ed Kiyum.